Wow. It's 2021 and this makes the news. Woman refuses to shave mustache. Or the unibrow. Because her facial hair helps her weed out bad dates. Legend has it that she is still dating to this day. You know, let's just have a normal conversation about this without getting upset. Okay? Especially I want to have a conversation with a left-leaning person. This lady can obviously do whatever she wants. But the question is, why is it newsworthy? Why did a publication think about that this random person, this random individual that was plucked from the street, like, bloop, and all of a sudden, she is made a celebrity by being presented in a mainstream publication? And I think, like, number one is to victimize her, to show what a horrible society we live in, where a woman who goes against cultural norms on purpose has culture disagreeing with her by giving her cruel comments and stares. I mean, look, let's look at culture, okay? I am supposed to clean my shoes. And occasionally, because I live in a very muddy area, I go out with dirty shoes. They got mud. I get cruel stares and comments. Does anyone care? No. But I'm a victim, I suppose. Sometimes I don't shave my unibrow. In fact, I never do. I get cruel stares and mean comments. I actually do get mean comments. Does anyone care? No. So why do people care about a person who chooses not to groom themselves? It's because if you don't care, you're a bigot. Like, that's the vibe. That is why this is being presented in the news. The idea is you need to care about this issue because otherwise you're a bigot. And if you're a bigot, you're a bad person. And it's not only that, but it's a society of fakeness, of plastic people. It's a society where everyone has to pretend, to put on a good smile, and it doesn't matter what you think deep inside. You keep that to yourself unless you want to get fired. But you express the correct things and you smile. Everyone smile. You know, like that lady from Harry Potter? Yeah, like that. Everyone needs to be like that. Because that is the perfect human being that puts on a smile. She talks nice to people. She's never angry or agitated. Perfect person. She's not hateful. Dolores, was it there? Here's why this is a bad advice. Okay? I will explain to you why this is a problem. Now, it's not a problem that this particular lady doesn't want to shave her mustache and doesn't want to shave her unibrow or whatever. You know, she can do whatever she wants, even though the press doesn't really talk about liberty anymore. They're not concerned about having freedoms and liberty. No one, I haven't seen an article bringing these fascist concepts up anymore. And it's not about the mustache, and it's not about the unibrow, okay? Like, that's totally besides the point. That is just what journalists want to use to get clickbait. Here's the main issue, okay? Whether you're a man or a woman, there is the concept that you're perfect just the way you are. You are absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with you. You are the... You know who's the problem? Society is the problem. You're perfect. Mwah. And the problem with this ideology is that it makes people feel complacent, number one. And number two, it stops people from improving. If you're already perfect, what's the point? Why should you try to improve? You are perfect and fine the way you are. It's other people that are the problem. It's everyone else. You are absolutely gorgeous. And anyone else that tells you different, well, he's a bigot. It's not that other people are going to find that you're average. No, they absolutely find you stunning. And this is a problem. You know, I wouldn't want to raise my kids with that attitude. And, you know, like, let's flip it around. Let's see how it would apply to men, okay? Because sometimes switching the situation provides additional insight. So let's assume you have a teenage friend by the name Johnny. And Johnny has the hormones raging. It's that period where the hormones are pumping and it makes him incredibly horny. And Johnny is so horny that he likes to lick the computer screen whenever Uzaki-chan is online. He's absolutely obsessed. Whenever he sees a woman, actual drool comes out of his mouth, like Pavlov's dog. Now, this type of behavior and this type of mannerisms is considered unattractive by the opposite sex. Would you consider that it's a good advice to tell Johnny, you know what? Society created this horrible oppressive standard. Like, you are who you are. This is how you were born. Like, this is how you express yourself. A real woman that loves you is going to love you for who you are, Johnny. She is going to put up with your obsessive nature. You're going to find a woman that's just like you one day, and you're going to bump pelvises together. You don't need to change one tiny bit. Like, everything you're doing is perfectly A-okay. Ding. And anyone who tells you otherwise is a bigot. It's society to blame if they tell you to change, Johnny. Because you're not hurting anyone. Licking the computer screen, slobbering when a lady passes by. You're not hurting anyone. It's just your mannerism, your choice. And then Metro Cock that puts Johnny on the newspaper and starts saying, yeah, you know what? Like, Johnny is a perfect example to society. No, what? Johnny is a victim. People victimize Johnny. People look at Johnny and they look at his behavior and mannerism and they think it's wrong. How dare people criticize Johnny? How dare they say anything wrong about him? He's a good lad. That's what's happening here. That is literally what is happening here. Because at the end of the day, sure, maybe Johnny eventually is going to find a lady that's going to like him for the slobbery, drooling pervert that he is. But maybe Johnny could need a little bit more advice. It's like, look, Johnny, we understand that you have certain desires and needs, but you shouldn't really express themselves like this. You should just keep them to yourself, control yourself, just show some control. Because, like, women like a man that's in control, At the end of the day, Johnny is going to figure it out himself. It's going to be up to him. And it's probably similar for this particular mademoiselle. I mean, if she wants to not groom herself, that's fine. But you're not going to change society by just acting contrarian for the sake of being contrarian. Because I'm telling you something. At the end of the day, okay, us guys did not go to the patriarchy school where we gathered around and created this conspiracy that women need to shave their mustaches in order to be sexually attractive. This didn't happen. It's not that, my father sat me down one day and it was like, son, I know you got a big hard-on for ladies with mustaches, but you need to stop because you're embarrassing the patriarchy, my boy. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know. Was it that serious? And yes, it is that serious. And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to embarrass the patriarchy. No, the reality is that it's much more simpler than that and much more easier to explain. Get ready for my mansplaining. There is this wisdom that has been passed on for generation that a lot of ladies are unaware, but it's called the cock has a mind of its own. And I genuinely believe that there is a tiny brain beneath that pee hole because the cock reacts to things that I don't want it to react sometimes. And as you get older, some men have the cock not reacting to things that the man would want him to react. So when you see a woman with a mustache, the cock turns from a strong salami into a more bent-up wiener. Now, I can try to lecture the cock and try to convince him. It's like, look, please do not embarrass me, okay? This is a progressive lady. I cannot show weakness in front of her. I cannot show bigotry in front of her. Like, you need to be like hard as a rock, stiff as a stone. It doesn't work, okay? When you look at it and you see that mustache and the mustache looks back at you, the only thing that Johnny is probably thinking is like, wow, after oral, that might be difficult to clean up. But Johnny is a different case because Johnny is a pervert. And as long as it has a pulse, Johnny is willing. But for the rest of society who has some standards, they're going to say, "Nyeh." And I'm pretty sure this lady who sees Johnny is also going to say, "Nyeh." And the idea that this lady is somehow oppressed, compared to whom? Because she's definitely not more oppressed than Johnny, because at least she's getting a lot of dates in order to try to weed some of them out. I'm guaranteeing to you, Johnny is not getting any dates. So if she were to walk in Johnny's shoes for a couple of weeks, she would want to go back. And like immediately she would want to go back to the oppression. Now, maybe I don't make my point clear, and maybe I need just one more allegory in order to hammer the point in. Dating is very similar to getting a job. And the protocol that is required for someone that wants to get a job is to send a resume. Now, just like society oppresses women to shave their mustache, so does society oppresses the poor and innocent job applicant in order to write the resume with perfect grammar. And believe me, a person like myself, oh my god, like it's so difficult in order to spell check and make sure that I don't make grammatical errors. However, it is something that's required. My grammar is atrocious, and I usually am let known about this by women who freak out when they see me typing. So, I would have two choices. I would have the choice of going against the grain and just pushing out that resume with all the grammatical errors and just go like, well, you know what? If they don't want to hire me, their loss. It's the corporation that has to suffer at the end of the day. It's not me. Eventually, I will find a corporation that hires me even with a poorly written resume because I am the best person for the job. I have so much self-esteem and so much confidence, and I am oozing. I am oozing with pride. One of the cardinal sins, right? Like pride. Being prideful. Like, I am so good that I don't need to follow the rules. I don't need to follow standards. I don't need to do what society. I am prideful and it's like best person. Yeah. Do you think that's a good idea? I mean, sure, it would be less oppressive and easier for everyone if you didn't have to do perfect grammar when you're applying for a job. Because here's the thing. Eventually you'll get a shitty job that hires you. Just like if you go out, you will get a shitty date that wants to have you. But those really good jobs, those really worthy dates, there's a lot of competition for the modern day. Right? So when you have like 10,000 people walking in, well, you start doing those screening methods, including looking at the grammar. And when you finally meet a man that you really like, chances are a lot of other ladies like him as well. And when you have competition, well, the man gets to choose. Little Johnny doesn't get to choose because he doesn't have anything. That's why he takes everyone that has a pulse. If little Johnny would have a lot of competition, then even little Johnny would have standards. So that's the thing with the standards, okay? It's the more desirable the other person, the more standards they have. And it's pretty similar with women. If you want to date a woman and you're a guy, if she's really attractive, then she's going to have higher standards. It's normal. Supply and demand. Capitalism, even in dating. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section.